Morning, Suraj Singh, civil engineer, Faridabad, Bharat, international professional engineer, chartered engineer, buildings, structures, construction. नमस्कार, मैं सूरज सिंह आपके सामने आपसे पहले भी बात कर चुका हूं और अब फिर बात करने जा रहा हूं भारत के संविधान के बारे में, भारत की स्पेशलिटी के बारे में, भारत की प्रॉपर्टीज के बारे में, भारत क्या है, क्यों है और हम सब उसमें क्या है। ये बहुत आवश्यक था जानना सबके लिए और सब जानते भी हैं, कुछ लोग जान भी चुके हैं, लेकिन फिर भी बताना आवश्यक है। बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम लोग क्या है, इस देश में हैं, कौन से नियम में है, कानून में है, हमने जो खुद बनाया है, किसी और ने बनाया है, ये जानना बहुत आवश्यक सबके लिए। और ये आवश्यकता आपको निभानी होगी, आपको अपना कर्म निभाना होगा, ड्यूटी बतानी होगी, आपको अपनी निभानी होगी, नहीं तो आप देश में नहीं पूरे विश्व में पीछे रह जाएंगे और ये आपकी प्रॉब्लम होगी, आपके लोगों की प्रॉब्लम होगी, आपकी अपनी इज्जत खराब होगी, आप अपने देश की इज्जत खराब करेंगे। इसको समझने के लिए आपको जानना होगा कि भारत क्या है, क्यों है, कैसे है, ये बहुत ज़रूरी है जानना। हम भारत के लोग हैं, वी पीपल ऑफ इंडिया, पीपल ऑफ इंडिया क्या चाहते हैं, हम कैसे चाहते हैं, हम क्यों चाहते हैं, हम what we want actually, we are people of this country, Bharat, which Bharat is so far in confusion, public is in confusion. We are really not understanding what we are, but we should have understood long back, and unfortunately we do not understand due to our weaknesses and our problems. We the people of India, having solemnly resolved, we people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political liberty of thoughts, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring dignity of each individual and unity and integrity of Bharat nation. On this day of 26th November 1945, in our Constituent Assembly, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution, we people of Bharat having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thoughts, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring dignity of each individual and unity and integrity of nation. On this day, 26 November 1949, in our Constituent Assembly, we do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution. हम भारत के लोग पूरा फैसला करते हैं सत्य निष्ठा से on this day of 26 नवंबर 1949 को 26 नवंबर 1949 को अपनी संवैधानिक सभा में सत्य निष्ठा से ये फैसला करते हैं कि हम भारत को एक प्रभुसत्ता संपन्न सामाजिक प्रभुसत्ता संपन्न समाजवादी देश, बंधुनिरपेक्ष, लोकतांत्रिक तथा गणराज्य बना रहे हैं और हर नागरिक को हम इस बात का अधिकार दे रहे हैं कि उसको न्याय मिले, सामाजिक न्याय, आर्थिक न्याय, राजनीतिक न्याय, उसको उसकी स्वतंत्रता मिले, विचारों की, लिखकर बोलने की, बोल के लिखने की, विश्वास की और अंदर के मन की, अंतर मन के विश्वास की, पूजा की पद्धति की, और बराबरी का दर्जा मिले, सारे मौके मिले, अपॉर्चुनिटी मिले, मौके मिले, अवसर मिले और उन सब में प्रगति करने के लिए, उन सब में आगे बढ़ाने के लिए भाईचारे को क्रिएट किया जाए। हर एक मानव की, यहाँ पर हर एक व्यक्ति की जो भारत का है उसका मान सम्मान बराबर का हो और देश एकता के साथ मिलजुल के पूरी स्टेट्स, पूरे राज्य, पूरे समाज, पूरे धर्म, पूरी जातें साथ साथ चलें, यही हम कामना करते हैं। और अपने आप को ये संविधान जो हमने अपनाया, ये खुद संविधान जो हमने बनाया कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली में, आज का दिन 26 नवंबर 1949 को हम इसको अपने को स्वीकार करते हैं, इसको नियमित करते हैं और इसको हम स्वयं को देते हैं। ये है हमारा संविधान भारत का। इस संविधान जिसके बारे में हम चुनाव की बात करेंगे, इससे पहले आगे चलने से पहले हमारा फर्ज बनता है, हमारी ड्यूटी बनती है कि हम इसके बारे में जान तो लें कि आखिर हमारी ड्यूटी है क्या, हम करना क्या चाहते हैं। और नागरिक, जिसको हम नागरिक कहते हैं, जिसमें संविधान लागू होता है, पहला संविधान का असर नागरिक पे लागू होता है और ये संविधान हमसे क्या चाहता है। This constitution requires from each citizen of this country, and how many of us known following these fundamental rights, and these fundamental rights we have to abide by, and this is our duty of each and every person in this country. That this is Article 451A, which is Part 4 of Constitution of India. भारत के संविधान का वो आर्टिकल, वो नियम 51A के अधीन पार्ट 4A में है, It shall be duty of every citizen of India, ये भारत के हर नागरिक की फर्ज होगा, कर्तव्य होगा to abide by Constitution, संविधान को माने, रिस्पेक्ट इट्स आइडियल्स, इसके आइडियल्स की रिस्पेक्ट करे, इसके अंदर जो छुपी हुई चीज़ें हैं जिसके लिए स्वतंत्रता की लड़ाई लड़ी गई उनकी मानव इज्जत करे, वैसे नागरिक इज्जत करे, इंस्टीट्यूशन यहाँ की जितने भी संस्थान हैं उनकी इज्जत करे, राष्ट्रीय झंडे नेशनल फ्लैग की इज्जत करे, नेशनल एंथम राष्ट्रीय गान की इज्जत करे। तो चेराइश एंड फॉलो नोबल आइडियल्स, उनके आगे नोबल आइडियल्स जो हमारे स्वतंत्रता लड़ाई के बीच में थे, जो देश को बनाना था, उनको समझे, उनको खोले, उनको आगे बढ़ाए, जिन्होंने हमारी आत्माओं में झंझोरा, विच इंस्पायर्ड आवर नेशनल स्ट्रगल, जिससे हमने राष्ट्रीय का संघर्ष किया आज़ादी के लिए, फ्रीडम के लिए, फॉर फ्रीडम, टू चेराइश एंड फॉलो नोबल आइडियल्स which inspired our national struggle for freedom, so to abide by Constitution and respect ideals, institutions, national flags and national anthem, to cherish and follow noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom, to uphold and protect sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, भारत की स्वतंत्रता की, भारत की एकता की, भारत की प्रभुसत्ता की, भारत के आपस में मिलजुल के रहने की शक्ति को ऊंचा रखें, सरभा के रखें और हर सबको बचा के रखें। To defend country and render national service when called up to do so, upon so to do, जब जरूरत पड़े राष्ट्र को, हम अपने देश को बचाने के लिए, सुरक्षित रखने के लिए अपने आप को ऑफर करें, अपने आप को चलाएं, अगर जरूरत पड़े हमारी तो हम जाएं और जो आवश्यकता पड़े हम राष्ट्रीय सेवा करें, कुछ भी जरूरत पड़े तो हम करें। तो प्रोवाइड हार्मनी एंड स्पिरिट ऑफ ब्रदरहुड among all people of India, transcending religious, linguistic and regional or sectional diversities, to renounce practice derogatory to dignity of women, to provide harmony, हम सबको शांत रखें, एकता रखें, ऐसा हम करें। भाईचारे की आत्मा को, भाईचारे की आत्मा शक्ति को बढ़ाएं सब लोगों के अंदर, सारे राष्ट्र के लोगों के अंदर। ट्रांसेंडिंग रिलीजियस, धर्म के ऊपर उठकर, धर्म से आगे बढ़ के, भाषाओं से आगे बढ़ के, और जितने भी क्षेत्रीय फर्क हैं, डाइवर्सिटीज हैं, उनको भी ऊपर रख के, उनसे भी आगे निकल के, और हम महिला को सुरक्षित रख के उसकी इज्जत बरकरार रखें, उसकी इज्जत को क्षति ना होने दें। ऐसी प्रैक्टिस को हम, जो उसकी इज्जत खराब करे उसको कंडम करें, उसको रिनाउंस करें। ऐसी प्रैक्टिस को जहाँ उसकी बेइज्जती होती हो, जहाँ उसकी मॉडेस्टी खराब होती हो। तो वैल्यू एंड प्रिजर्व रिच हेरिटेज ऑफ आवर कल्चर, हम वैल्यू लगाएं, अब उसको संभाल के रखें, हमारी जो भी सांस्कृतिक संपदा है। तो प्रोटेक्ट एंड इम्प्रूव नेचुरल environment including forests, lakes, rivers and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures, हम बचा के रखें, शक्तिशाली रखें, तो उसको सही रखें, जो हमारे वातावरण में हमारे कुदरत ने दिए हुए उनको कुदरत दिए हुए हमारे फॉरेस्ट हैं, हमारे जंगल हैं, हमारी झीलें हैं, नदियां हैं, हमारा जंगल की शक्ति है, जंगल की जिंदगी है, और उन सब जीने के लोगों के जीने के आत्माएं जितने भी हैं, जीने के क्रिएचर्स जितने भी हैं, उनको हम कंपैशन के साथ रखें। हमारा यही एम होना चाहिए। टू डेवलप साइंटिफिक टेम्पर, ह्यूमनिज्म एंड स्पिरिट ऑफ इंक्वायरी एंड रिफॉर्म, विज्ञान को आगे बढ़ाएं, अच्छी तरह से बढ़ाएं, इंसानियत को आगे बढ़ाएं, मानवता को आगे बढ़ाएं, और एक दूसरे से मिलकर एक दूसरे को जानें और फिर अपने आप को सुधारें। टू सेफगार्ड पब्लिक प्रॉपर्टी एंड टू एब्जॉर्ब वायलेंस, जो भी प्रॉपर्टी सार्वजनिक है, देश की है, पब्लिक की है, उसकी रक्षा करें। और टू एब्जॉर्ब वायलेंस, जहाँ भी घातक हमले हों, जहाँ भी अहिंसा हो उसको रोकें, कंडम करें, to strive towards excellence in all fields of individual. हर फील्ड में, हर स्फीयर में, हर क्षेत्र में सबसे आगे होने की कोशिश करें, सबसे आगे जाएं. एंड कलेक्टिव एक्टिविटी, जहाँ भी इकट्ठी एक्टिविटी है उसमें काम करें, उसमें मिलजुल के पार्टिसिपेट करें, सो दैट नेशन कॉन्स्टेंटली राइजेस टू हायर लेवल ऑफ इंडिविजुअल एंड अचीवमेंट, जिससे कि हमारा राष्ट्र, भारत राष्ट्र बिना रुकावट के आगे बढ़ता रहे ऊंचाइयों पर, उन कामों की ऊंचाइयों पर जो हम शुरू कर रहे हैं, नई चीज़ें या हम जो प्राप्त कर चुके हैं. Who is a parent? कौन है parent? Who is a parent or guardian to provide opportunities for education to his child, or as case may be ward between age of 6 and 14. जरूरी है कि शिक्षा बच्चों को दी जाए. पेरेंट, हमारे माता पिता और हमारे गार्डियन इस बात का पूरी तरह से ध्यान रखें और अवसर दें बच्चों को पढ़ने के लिए 6 से 14 उम्र तक. So this is what I wanted to tell you about our what we have to do for our country, what we have to do for our people, and what is this, what we have told you. It's very important to understand what I am talking about and what you are listening to. Bharat is a very big country. It has got 1.4 billion population in world, and world has around 7.15 or one more than 7.1 billion people in world. So we are nowhere very low. We are much higher than even now China. China is going to be beaten by us to an extent population is concerned. But we have to use our population. Our population is brave. Our population, of course, is sentimental, is emotional, and our population often remains sleeping until they are properly beaten, or they are awakened, or they are alert. They are given alerts. We have to alert our population. Our population, of course, is smart. Our population is intelligent. Our population is brilliant and hardworking, but they sleep well. They sleep too much. They keep sleeping when there is no emergency. They keep sleeping. There is no war. They keep sleeping. There are no problems. But now there are problems. You have to solve them. It's not duty of government alone. It's not duty of state alone that we have to take Bharat to heights. It's public of this country. It's people of this country. We people, as you said in preambles and in our rights. We have two items. We have got preambles. We have got fundamental rights. We have privileges and rights, and we have duties towards nation and towards public of this country. We have to take care of each and every aspect of this life, and that country can move only. This country can move only when we do ourselves, because country is not geography. Country is not physical continent. Country is made of people. Country comprises of public, and whatever public is there, that constitutes this country. Because without people, no country got any meaning. If there are no public, no people, what is country? Country is nothing in that case. It's just like a forest. So we have to understand ourselves very well. We are educated people and both types. We are uneducated also. We are rich people, we are middle class people, we are poor people, we are poor most people, below poverty line people, and we have to bring them all up, and we have to use those money people, because that money is not their personal one, that money is not their own one, that money is like a trust. They have to understand this as well. They may be billionaires or trillionaires, but that money they have not earned because of their hard work and because of physical work. They earn money by business, and that business infinite money was from public funds, and that was from banks. So we have to be careful that we cannot allow someone to steal our money, steal our rights, steal our present, and steal our future. Women, men, both have to think in this country. Both are equal powerfully, both are empowered, women are empowered and men are empowered. There should be no difference at all. Women and men have to move together, and that is possible only if we have sentiments of moving, if your minds, if your hearts, our body works well. That's only possible, otherwise it's not possible. Politics should not come in a way between the progress of society, but politics is coming in a way to destruct everything. That is unfortunate. Our politicians are those people which are not expected as it is. If you go through preambles, if you go through nations and personal responsibility and duties, you shall understand very well that politics is nowhere mentioned. Structure is there, everything is there, democracy is there, of course that is there. And I speak about elections now, just now talks, that we have to save this country from going to hands of robbers, and it is started going to robbers' hands, already started going to robbers' hands. Election 2019 was a big mandate for public to, to elect its future MPs of Lok Sabha. Last time in 2014, this public elected MPs, and again we have to elect now. We had to elect now, and we elected, but we elected on a wrong path. We elected with misconception. We never understood that we had to elect MP, Member of Parliament, Sansad. We had a concept that we had to elect Prime Minister, which does not exist anywhere in Constitution for election post, for a post elected to Parliament or elected somewhere else. That myth was created by these political leaders who know nothing about Constitution, who just ask others to tell something about Constitution. I am sure these politicians, including up to level of highest position of Prime Minister, they are not aware of what is value of Constitution and what is value of experience and eligibility. They could win, they may win in future also by methods of hooks and crooks. They are not honest people. They are robbers of votes. They are robbers of public sentiments. They arouse sentiment of public for sake of religions, for sake of Hindu-Muslims, for sake of this and that, for sake of false statements, for black money. They arouse sentiments. They arouse sentiments for purpose of 2 crore jobs per year, and they arouse sentiments for some other issues. They never tell facts. They hide facts, or they may not even hide facts. They don't even disclose them because they are themselves not sure what to do or not to do. All on our intelligence, like Dr. MMS, there are politicians who do nothing, and that's happening now. They are not thinking at all. There are Lok Sabha, there is Lok Sabha, there is Rajya Sabha, and there is President of this country. These three positions combined combination make democracy of this country. And these leaders don't understand democracy, don't understand secularism, don't understand anything. They understand only seat of power, and they just want to keep themselves there forever, and which is not possible because public is master of all these MPs, honor of these MPs. Some public has understood, some public has not understood. Some public still chant Modi, 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 and other. They are so big fools, you can say, highest profile fools in our country, and crores people who don't even understand of what meaning Constitution is, what Savidhaan is. They don't understand what Bharat is. They don't understand what should be understood, what should not be understood. By examination in schools, they may get 95% marks or 90% marks or 100% marks, whatever by bluff we may say, but they are happy to get that, and they expect jobs post that, getting the solutions, which is not feasible in current situation. Bharat is breaking in politics. Bharat is being deteriorated in politics. Bharat is being polluted in politics. Bharat is being crushed and it's turned into dust which cannot be used. This is what's the state of Bharat in 2019. We conducted general elections, but general elections did not result in whatever was expected by public because there was no fair election, no level fields, no transparency in election, and election commission had aligned with government, you can say, by in hidden management. They work together just to help each other. Election commission helped BJP and EVM PM Modi, and they got themselves up by cheating and doing a fraud on public, and public could not understand that. Well, that is a main important issue, which is a burning one now in our country, EVM, and we'll come to that point. बात करेंगे उसकी जो हम अब तक करते आए हैं कि भारत देश में क्या हो रहा है, क्या नहीं हो रहा है, हमको क्या समझना चाहिए, क्या नहीं समझना चाहिए, हमको अपने अधिकार की बात करनी चाहिए, अपने ऑब्लिगेशंस की बात करनी चाहिए, या हमें अपने अधिकार के अलावा अपने कर्म और अपने फर्ज की बात भी करनी चाहिए। तो मैंने अभी बताया आपको क्या हम वो फर्ज करते हैं कि नहीं करते, हमें ये देखना चाहिए। हम किस हद तक जा सकते हैं, देश को संभालने के लिए करना चाहिए। हम असल में देश को संभालना नहीं चाहते, हम खाली बातें करना चाहते हैं, और यही हमारी प्रॉब्लम है। हम सच्चाई को जानते नहीं है, किसी आदमी पे इतना विश्वास कर लेते हैं कि वो आदमी हमारे विश्वास को तोड़ देता है। ये पहले भी हुआ था और अभी भी हो रहा है। मैं इसको प्योर रूप से सरकार का कसूर नहीं मानता हूँ, क्योंकि सरकार तो चाहती है कोई अच्छा कस्टमर आए उसको लेके जाए, लेकिन आप उन जॉब अगर आप कोई छोटा सा बैग लेके उसको बांध के किसी ऑटो को पकड़ते हैं, किसी और को पकड़ते हुए चलो थोड़ी दूर चलना है, वो आपसे पैसे पूरी दूर करेगा, लेकिन आप अंदर जाकर उससे मिल सकते हैं। कोई प्रॉब्लम वाली बात नहीं है, ये हमको समझना चाहिए। चुनाव है, चुनाव में बहुत कुछ देखा जाता है। हमको अपने अधिकार देख रहे हैं, हमको अपने कर्तव्य भी देख रहे हैं, हमको देश को देखना है, हमको जनता को देखना है। ये जनता जो यहाँ की बहुत बड़ी जनता है, जो विश्व की 1/3 से भी ज़्यादा है, ऐसी शक्ति भारत की है कि भारत चाहे तो बहुत कुछ कर सकता है। लेकिन भारत के लोग सोने वाले क्यों हैं, मेरे को समझ नहीं आया। जब तक उनको जूता ना मारा जाए, उनके पानी ना गिराया जाए, उनको कुछ समझाया ना जाए, कुछ डराया ना जाए, वो उठने को तैयार नहीं होते और उठते भी फिर सो जाते हैं। ये देश का नुकसान हो रहा है, देश का युवा सो रहा है, देश का दूसरे वर्ग का लोग सो रहा है और देश मजे ले रहा है। राजनीतिक लोग मजे ले रहे हैं। देश तो इतना भी नहीं जानता कि हमको किस तरह के उम्मीदवार को सांसद बनाना चाहिए। देश की पब्लिक ये भी नहीं जानते कि हमें वोट कैसे देना चाहिए। वोट देते हैं वो, लेकिन वोट का मतलब नहीं जानते हैं। जो लोग वोट का मतलब जानना चाहते हैं बहुत कम लोग होते हैं। आप जात पात के नाम पे वोट नहीं मांगते आजकल, आप धर्म के नाम पे वोट मांगते हैं, आप मुसलमान के नाम पे वोट मांगते हैं, आप हिंदू के नाम पे वोट मांगते हैं। क्या आप सिख के नाम पे वोट मांगेंगे? मेरे हिसाब से आपको मांगना चाहिए। ऐसे लोग जो जो आजकल वोट मांग रहे हैं, ऐसे मांग रहे हैं जैसे बस वोट लेकर बात खत्म हो जाती है, देश आगे निकल जाता है और सब कुछ हो जाता है। तो इस गलत फहमी के शिकार हो गए हैं कि मत अधिकारी जो हम जिसको वोटर कहा जाता है, वो लोग बेवकूफ़ हैं, आपकी बातों में आ जाएंगे, एक दिन नहीं तो दूसरे दिन आ जाएंगे और वो आपको वोट दे देंगे। और जिस पार्टी को वोट देते थे वो कांग्रेस रही हो या कोई और रही हो, उसको लात मार के बाहर करेंगे। यही वो चाहते हैं हमारे देश के नेता, क्योंकि वो नेता नहीं, वो डकैत हैं, वो चोर हैं। साबित इस बात से होता है कि 233 नेता ऐसे हैं लोकसभा के अंदर जिनके क्रिमिनल रिकॉर्ड चल रहे हैं, कई साल से चल रहे हैं। और आज हालत आज ऐसी आ गई है कि हमारे लोकसभा की समाधि पर, हमारे लोकसभा की सत्यता पर, हमारे लोकसभा के फ्यूचर स्कोप पर, हमारे भारत के फिराई के स्कोप पर वो इस बात को आगे रखना चाहते हैं ताकि उन्हें किसी मुल्क की प्रॉब्लम ना आए। ऐसा हो रहा है और हमें जानना चाहिए पहले ऐसा नहीं होगा। हमको अगर देश को बनाना है, सही रखना है, तो हमें अपने फर्ज भी निभाने होंगे, अपने अपने कर्तव्य भी निभाने होंगे। राइट टू पुलिस तो हम मिले ही लेंगे, लेकिन हमको ड्यूटी भी निभानी होगी। हम ये नहीं चाहते खाएं आप एक रोटी लोगों को 4 रोटी की, आप जाएँ तो पास रास्ते में खाएं, कहीं और से खाएं, वो बात हो सकती है, लेकिन वो गलत है। गलत तो गलत है। हम टैक्स देते हैं सरकारों को, किस लिए देते हैं? कि वो पैसे खाकर सबके भगा दें लोगों को यहाँ से बाहर। ये चाहती है सरकार, चाहे किसी की सरकार में, मैं किसी पर्टिकुलर सरकार की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, सभी की बात कर रहा हूँ कि सब ने अपने अपने समय में कुछ ना कुछ तो किया ही होगा। इस बात से तो मना किया नहीं जा सकता है, लेकिन इस बात को बिल्कुल पक्की करके भी नहीं रखा जा सकता है। देश को सुधारना है आपके हाथ में, देश को बिगाड़ना है आपके हाथ में, वोट का मतलब समझना है आपके हाथ में, नहीं समझना आपके हाथ में। अभी मैं कुछ आपको बता देता हूँ कि अब हम आपसे बात करेंगे। Now we will talk about part 15, that is elections in Constitution of India book, and that is part 15, and title is elections and article is 324(1). So you have to understand now what we are talking about. We are talking about constitution of this country, and what is that? 324(1). Superintendence, direction and control of preparation of electoral rolls for and conduct of all elections to Parliament and to legislature of every state and of elections to offices of President and Vice President held under this Constitution shall be vested in a commissioner referred to as this country's commission as election commission. This will be again superintendence, direction, control of preparation of electoral rolls for and conduct of all elections to Parliament and to legislature of every state and of elections to offices of President and Vice President held under this Constitution shall be vested in a commission referred to in this Constitution as Election Commission. 2. Election Commission shall consist of Chief Election Commissioner and such number of other election commissioners. if if any, as President may from time to time fix and appointment of a chief election commission and other election commissioners shall subject to provisions of any law made in that behalf by Parliament be made by President. Again, election commissioner shall consist of chief election commissioner and such number of other election commissioners, if any, as President may from time to time fix and appointments of chief election commissioner and other election commissioners shall subject to provisions of any law made in that behalf by Parliament be made by President. When any other election commissioner is so appointed, chief election commissioner shall act as chairman of election commission before each general election to House of People and to Legislative Assembly of each state, and before first general election and thereafter before each biennial election to Legislative Council of each state having such council. President may also appoint, after consultation with election commission, such regional commissioners as he may consider necessary to assist election commissioner in performance of functions conferred on by conferred on before each general election to House of People and to Legislative Assembly of each state, and before first general elections and thereafter before each biennial election to the Legislative Council of each state having such council. President may also appoint, after consultation with election commission or election commission, such regional commissioners as he may consider necessary to assist election commissioner in performance of functions conferred on company commission by clause 1. Subject to provisions for any law made by Parliament, conditions of service and tenure of officer of election commissioners and regional commissioners shall be such as President may define or determine, provided that Chief Election Commissioner shall not be removed from his office except in like manner and on like grounds as Judge of Supreme Court, and conditions of service of Chief Election Commissioner shall not be varied to disadvantage after his appointment, provided that Chief Election Commissioner shall not be removed from his office except in like manner and on like grounds as a judge of Supreme Court, and thus the conditions of service of Chief Election Commissioner shall not be varied to his disadvantage after his appointment. Provided further that any other election commissioner or a regional commissioner shall not be removed from office except on recommendation on Chief Election Commissioner. President or governor of a state shall, when so requested by election commission, make available to election commission or to a regional commissioner such staff as may be necessary for discharge of functions conferred on article confirmation by clause 325. There shall be There shall be one general electoral roll for every territorial constituency for election to either House of Parliament or to House or either House of Legislature of a state, and no person shall be ineligible for inclusion in any such roll or claim to be included in any special electoral roll for any such constituency on grounds of religion, race, caste, and so on. 326. Elections to House of People and Legislative Assembly of every state shall be on basis of adult suffrage, that is to say, every person who is citizen of India and who is not less than 18 years of age on such date as may be fixed in that behalf by or under any law made by appropriate legislature, and is not otherwise disqualified under consecutive or any other force. Any law made by appropriate legislature on ground of non-resistance, unsoundness of mind, crime or corrupt or illegal practice shall be entitled to resort to regist- registered as a voter at any such election. Again, I say it's a long para. Elections to House of People and to Legislative Assembly of every state shall be on basis of adult suffrage, that is to say, every person who is a citizen of India and who is not less than 18 years age on such date as may be fixed in that behalf by under by or under any law made by appropriate legislature and is not otherwise disqualified under constitution or any other law made by appropriate legislature on ground of non-residence, unsoundness of mind, crime, corruption, or legal practice, shall be entitled to be registered as a voter at any such election. Subject to provisions of this Constitution, Parliament may, from time to time, by law, make provisions with respect to all matters relatives or to a connection with elections to either House of Parliament or to House of either House of Legislature of a state, including preparation of electoral rolls, delimitation of constituencies, and all other matters necessary for securing due constitution of such house or houses. Subject to provisions of this Constitution, and insofar as provisions in that behalf is not made by Parliament, the legislature of a state may from time to time by law make provisions with respect to all matters relating to or in connivance or connection with elections to House or either House of Legislative of the state, including preparation of elected rolls and all other material necessary securing due constitution of such house or houses. Once again, this paragraph, subject to provisions of this Constitution, and insofar as provision on that behalf is not made by Parliament, subject to provisions of this Constitution, and insofar as provisions on this behalf is not made by Parliament, legislature of a state may from time to time by law make provisions with respect to all matters relating to or in conjunction with elections and to elections to House of either House of Legislature of state, including preparation of electoral rolls and all states matters necessary that will cause that will cause subject to provisions of this Constitution, and so far as provisions in that behalf is not made by Parliament, legislature of a state may from time to time by law make provisions with respect to all matters relating to or in connection with elections to House or either House of Legislature or of a state, including preparation of electoral rolls and all other matters necessary for securing device, due device constitution of such house or houses. Notwithstanding anything in constitution, validity of any law relating to delimitation of constituencies or allotment of seats to such constituencies made or purporting to be made under Article 327 or Article 328 shall not be called in question in any court. No election with the House of Parliament or to House or either House of Legislature of the state shall be called in question, cover except by the no election to either House of Parliament or to House of either House of Legislature of a state shall be called in question except by an election petition presented to such authority and in such manner as may be provided for by under any law made by appropriate legislature. So this was about elections. This was now I'll go in Hindi about elections. This is भाग 15 निर्वाचन. हिंदी में थोड़ा सा समझने के लिए, क्योंकि बहुत से लोग इंग्लिश नहीं समझ सकते हैं, जबकि मैं आहिस्ता आहिस्ता बोल रहा हूँ और मैं अपनी तरफ से नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, जो लिखा है संविधान में उसको कोट कर रहा हूँ. अपनी बात को इसको बोलने की बात करेंगे. इस संविधान के अधीन संसद और प्रत्येक राज्य के विधानमंडल के लिए कराए जाने वाले सभी निर्वाचनों के लिए तथा राष्ट्रपति और उपराष्ट्रपति के पदों के लिए निर्वाचनों के लिए निर्वाचक नामावली तैयार करने का और उन सभी निर्वाचनों के संचालन का अधीक्षण, निर्देशन और नियंत्रण एक आयोग में निहित होगा, जिसे इस संविधान में निर्वाचन आयोग कहा है. निर्वाचन आयोग मुख्य निर्वाचन आयुक्त और उतने अन्य निर्वाचन आयुक्तों से यदि कोई हो जिसे राष्ट्रपति समय पर नियमित करे मिलकर बनेगा, तथा मुख्य निर्वाचन आयुक्त और अन्य निर्वाचन आयुक्तों की नियुक्ति संसद द्वारा इस निम्न बनाई गई विधि के बंदों के अधीन रहते हुए राष्ट्रपति द्वारा की जाएगी. जब कोई अन्य निर्वाचन आयुक्त इस प्रकार नियुक्त किया जाता है तब मुख्य निर्वाचन आयुक्त निर्वाचन आयोग के अध्यक्ष के रूप में कार्य करेगा. लोकसभा के प्रत्येक राज्य की विधानसभा से प्रत्येक साधारण निर्वाचन से पहले तथा विधान परिषद वाले प्रत्येक राज्य की विधान परिषद द्वारा प्रतिनिधियों के लिए प्रथम साधारण निर्वाचन से पहले उसके पश्चात प्रत्येक द्विवार्षियों लोकसभा और प्रत्येक राज्य की विधानसभा के प्रत्येक साधारण निर्वाचन के पहले तथा विधानसभा वाले प्रत्येक राज्य की विधानसभा के लिए प्रथम साधारण निर्वाचन से पहले और उसके पश्चात प्रत्येक द्विवार्षिक निर्वाचन से पहले राष्ट्रपति निर्वाचन आयोग से परामर्श करने के पश्चात हो जाएंगे. करने के पश्चात को खंड एक द्वारा निर्वाचित निर्वाचन आयोग को सौंपी गई कृतियों के पालन में आयोग की सहायता के लिए उतने प्रादेशिक आयुक्तों की भी नियुक्ति का संकीर्ण चयन जिसके वह आवश्यक समझे। फिर पढ़ लेते हैं। लोकसभा के और प्रत्येक राज्यसभा की विधानसभा के प्रत्येक साधारण निर्वाचन से पहले तथा विधानसभा परिषद वाले प्रत्येक राज्य की विधान परिषद के लिए प्रथम साधारण निर्वाचन के पहले और उनके पश्चात प्रत्येक द्विवार्षिक निर्वाचन में पहले राष्ट्रपति निर्वाचन आयोग से परामर्श करते हैं। पश्चात खंड एक द्वारा निर्वाचन आयोग के सौंपे गए कृतियों से पालन से आयोग की सहायता के लिए उसके प्रादेशिक आयुक्तों को भी नियुक्त और किया जाएगा। उसे प्रादेशिक सहायता के लिए उसके प्रादेशिक आयुक्तों को भी नियुक्ति कर सकेगा जितने वे आवश्यक समझो। संसद द्वारा बनाई गई किसी विधि के उपबंधों के अधीन रहते हुए निर्वाचन आयुक्तों और प्रादेशिक आयुक्तों की सेवा की शर्तें और पदाविधि ऐसी होगी जो राष्ट्रपति नियम द्वारा अवधारित करे। परंतु मुख्य निर्वाचन आयुक्त को उसके पद से उसी रीति से और उन्हीं आधारों पर ही हटाया जाएगा जिस रीति से और जिन आधारों पर उच्चतम न्यायालय के न्यायाधीश को हटाया जा सकता है, अन्यथा नहीं। और मुख्य निर्वाचन आयुक्त की सेवा की स्थिति से उसका नियमानुसार नियुक्ति के पश्चात उसके लिए अलाभकारी परिवर्तन नहीं किया जाएगा। परंतु ये और कि किसी अन्य निर्वाचन आयुक्त या प्रादेशिक आयुक्त को मुख्य निर्वाचन आयुक्त को की सिफारिश पर ही पद से हटाया जा सकेगा, अन्यथा नहीं। जब निर्वाचन आयोग ऐसा अनुरोध करे तब राष्ट्रपति या किसी राज्य का राज्यपाल निर्वाचन आयोग का प्रादेशिक आयुक्त को उतने कर्मचारी वृंद उपलब्ध कराएंगे जिससे संघर्ष एक द्वारा निर्वाचन आयोग को सौंपे गए कृत्यों के निवेदन के लिए आवश्यक हो। संसद के प्रत्येक सदन या किसी राज्य के विधानमंडल के सदन या प्रत्येक सदन के लिए निर्वाचन के लिए प्रत्येक प्रादेशिक निर्वाचन क्षेत्र के लिए एक साधारण निर्वाचन नामावली होगी। निर्वाचन के लिए नामावली होगी और केवल धर्म, मूल, वंश, जाति, लिंग या इसमें से किसी के आधार पर कोई व्यक्ति ऐसा किसी न्यायावली से किसी नामावली में सम्मिलित किए जाने के लिए अपात्र नहीं होगा या ऐसी किसी व्यवस्था के लिए नामावली में सम्मिलित किए जाने के लिए अपात्र नहीं होगा या ऐसे किसी निर्वाचन क्षेत्र के लिए किसी विशेष निर्वाचन नामावली में सम्मिलित किए जाने का दावा नहीं करेगा। 326 लोकसभा और प्रत्येक राज्य की विधानसभा के लिए निर्वाचन वयस्क मताधिकारी के आधार पर होंगे, अर्थात प्रत्येक व्यक्ति जो भारत में रहता है, रामायण है, ये घर के पास रहता है। लोकसभा और प्रत्येक राज्य की विधानसभा के लिए निर्वाचन वयस्क मताधिकार के आधार पर होंगे, अर्थात प्रत्येक व्यक्ति जो भारत में नागरिक है और ऐसी तारीख को जो समुचित विधानमंडल द्वारा बनाई गई किसी विधि द्वारा या उसके भाग बना है। निमित्त नियत की जाए कम से कम 18 वर्ष का है और इस संविधान या समुचित विधानमंडल द्वारा किसी व्यक्ति के अधीन अनिवास, चित्रविकृति, अपराध या अवैध आचरण के आधार पर अन्यथा निरस्त नहीं जाता है। ऐसे व्यक्ति कर्मचारी के नौकर नियत की जाए कम से कम 18 वर्ष का है और इस संविधान या समुचित विधानमंडल द्वारा किसी विधि के अधीन अनिवास, चित्त विकृति, अपराध या अवैध आचरण के कारण आधार पर अन्यथा निरस्त नहीं जाता है। ऐसे किसी निर्वाचन में अधिकार के अधिकारी के स्वयं रूप में इस संविधान के उपबंधों के अधीन रहते हुए संसद समय समय पर इस संविधान के उपबंधों के अधीन रहते हुए संसद समय समय पर विधि द्वारा संसद के प्रत्येक सदन या किसी राज्य के विधानमंडल के सदन या प्रत्येक सदन के लिए निर्वाचनों से संबंधित या सशर्त सभी विषयों के समझ में नहीं आते। इस संविधान के उपबंधों के अधीन रहते हुए संसद समय समय पर विधि द्वारा संसद के प्रत्येक सदन या किसी राज्य के विधान मंडल के सदन या प्राकृतिक सौदों के सदन या इस संविधान के उपबंधों के अधीन रहते हुए संसद समय समय पर विधि द्वारा संसद के प्रत्येक सदन या किसी राज्य के विधानमंडलीय के सदन या प्रत्येक सदन के लिए निर्वाचन और संबंधित या सशक्त सभी विषयों संबंध में जिसके अंतर्गत निर्वाचक नामावली तैयार कराना, निर्वाचन क्षेत्रों का परिसीमन और ऐसे सदन या सदनों का स्वयं यूनाइटेड फ्रंट करने के लिए अन्य सभी आवश्यक हैं उपबंध कर सकेंगे। दोबारा पढ़िए, बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है। इस संविधान के उपबंधों के अधीन रहते हुए संसद समय समय पर विधि द्वारा संसद के प्रत्येक सदन या किसी राज्य के विधानमंडल के सदन या प्रत्येक सदन के लिए निर्वाचनों से संबंधित या सशक्त सभी विषयों के संबंध में जितने आतंकवादी निर्वाचित हैं जिनके अंतर्गत निर्वाचक नामावली तैयार कराना, क्षेत्रों का परिसीमन और ऐसे सदन या सदनों का समय शासन सुनिश्चित करने के लिए सभी आवश्यक विषय हैं। 328 इस संसद के उपबंधों के अधीन रहते हुए और जब तक संसद इस नियमित उपबंध नहीं करती वहाँ किसी राज्य का विधानमंडल समय समय पर विधि द्वारा उस राज्य के विधानमंडल के सदन या प्रत्येक सदन के लिए निर्वाचनों से संबंधित की जाएगी। किसी राज्य का विधानमंडल समय समय पर विधि द्वारा उस राज्य के विधानमंडल के सदन या प्रत्येक सदन के लिए निर्वाचनों से संबंधित या सशक्त सभी विषयों के संबंध में इनके अनुमति के अंदर नामावली तैयार करना और ऐसे सदन या सदनों का संपर्क गठन सुनिश्चित करने के लिए अन्य सभी आवश्यक विषय हैं उपलब्ध कर सकेगा। फिर पढ़ लीजिए एक बार, थोड़ा मुश्किल लगता है हिंदी में। इस संविधान के उपबंधों के अधीन रहते हुए और जहाँ तक संसद इस नियमित उपबंध नहीं करती है, वहाँ तक किसी राज्य का विधानमंडल समय समय पर विधि द्वारा स्थापित विधि द्वारा उस राज्य के विधानमंडल सदन और या प्रत्येक सदन के लिए निर्वाचन संबंधित या सशक्त सभी विषयों के संबंध में जिनके अंतर्गत निर्वाचन नामावली तैयार कराना और ऐसे सदन या सदनों का समितक गठन सूचित करने के लिए अन्य सभी आवश्यक विषय हैं उपबंध कर सकेगा। 329 अनुच्छेद 327 या अनुच्छेद 328 के अधीन Let me have some cloth below my chair to see which is causing some problem with sitting. It's not good for me to sit and sweat. It's causing problem. Yes. अनुच्छेद 327 या अनुच्छेद 328 के अधीन बनाई गई या बनाई जाने के लिए तात्पर्य किसी ऐसी विधि की विधि मान्यता जो निर्वाचन क्षेत्रों के परिसीमन या ऐसे निर्वाचन क्षेत्रों को इसके स्थानों को आवंटन से संबंधित है, किसी न्यायालय से प्रसंगत नहीं की जाएगी। संसद के प्रत्येक सदन या किसी राज्य के विधानमंडल के सदन या प्रत्येक सदन के लिए कोई निर्वाचन ऐसी निर्वाचन अर्जी पर ही प्रसंगत किया जाएगा जो ऐसे प्राधिकारी की और ऐसी रीति से प्रस्तुत की गई है जिसका समुचित विधानमंडल द्वारा बनाई गई विधि द्वारा या उसके अधीन उपबंध किया जाए, अन्यथा नहीं। 329 क्या है? प्रधानमंत्री और अध्यक्ष के मामले में संसद के लिए निर्वाचनों के बारे में विशेष उपबंध संविधान 44वां संशोधन। ओके, अभी हम बैक चलते हैं, हम जाते हैं बैक और हम क्या करते हैं अपना वही हिस्सा पार्ट 16 15 पार्ट 16 special provisions relating to certain classes, which is also very important here in elections, is in continuation to election commission's chapter. Special provisions relating to certain classes. Article 330. Seats shall be reserved in House of People for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, except scheduled tribes in autonomous districts of Assam, and scheduled tribes in autonomous districts of Assam. Number of seats reserved in any state for Union Territory for scheduled castes or scheduled tribes under Clause 1 shall bear as nearly as may be same proportions to total number of seats allowed for Union Territories in the House of People as population of scheduled castes are scheduled castes in state of Union Territory or of scheduled tribes in state for Union Territory or parts of state for Union Territory as the case may be, in respect of which seats are so reserved that diminishes. Number of seats reserved in any state for Union Territory for scheduled castes or scheduled tribes under Clause 1 shall bear as nearly as possible, as nearly as may be, same proportion to total number of seats allotted to state for union territories in House of People as populations of scheduled castes in state or union territories or of scheduled tribes in state for union territories or be a part of the state, union territory, state for union territory as case may be, in respect of which seats are so reserved, peers to total value of monopoles. In state for union territory or part of state for union territory as case may be, in respect of which seats are so reserved, bears to total population of state or union territory. Notwithstanding anything contained in clause 2, a number of seats reserved in House of People for second scheduled tribes in autonomous districts of Assam shall bear to total number of seats allotted to that of state. Notwithstanding anything contained in clause 2, number of seats reserved in House of People for scheduled tribes in autonomous districts of Assam shall bear to total number of seats allotted to that state. Such a proportion not measured, such a notwithstanding anything contained in clause 2, number of seats reserved in House of People for scheduled tribes in autonomous districts of Assam shall bear to total number of seats allotted to that state in proportion not less than population of scheduled tribes in that state's autonomous districts bears to total population of state. Explanation is, in this article and also in 332, expression population means population as ascertained at large preceding the census of which relevant figures have been published. Provided that reference to explanation to last proceedings, census of which relevant figures have been published shall until the relevant figures for the year for the first census taken after year 2006 have been published be construed as reference to 2001 census. Notwithstanding anything in Article 81, President may, if he is of opinion that Anglo-Indian community is not adequately represented in House of People, nominate not more than notwithstanding anything in Article 81, President may, if he is of opinion that Anglo-Indian community is not adequately represented in House of People, nominate not more than two members of that community to House of People. Seats shall be reserved for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, except scheduled tribes in autonomous district of Assam in legislative assembly or of higher assembly. Seats shall be reserved also for autonomous districts in legislature Assam was okay. Number of seats reserved for scheduled castes on or scheduled tribes in legislative assembly of any state under clause 1 shall bear as Okay. Number of seats reserved for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in legislative assembly of any state under clause 1 shall be as nearly as may be. Same proportions. Excuse me. Excuse me. Number of seats reserved for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in legislative assembly of any state under clause shall bear as nearly as may be same proportion to total number of seats in assembly as population of scheduled castes in that state or in scheduled tribes in that state or part of state as case may be. As case may be in respect of which seats are so reserved better to twice contain notwithstanding anything contained in clause 3 until taking effect under Article 170 of readjustment on basis of first census. Okay. Notwithstanding anything contained in clause 3 until taking effect under Article 170 of readjustment on basis of first census after so notwithstanding anything contained in clause under taking effect under Article 70 of readjustment on basis of first census after year 2026 of number of seats in legislative assemblies of state of Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Nagaland, seats which shall be reserved for scheduled tribes in legislative assemblies of any such state shall be, if all seats, if all assemblies of state of Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Nagaland, seats which shall be reserved for scheduled tribes in legislative assemblies of such state shall be, if all these seats in legislature assembly of such state in existence on date of coming into force of Constitution 57th Amendment Act 1987, thereafter in this clause referred to as existing assembly are held by members of scheduled tribes, all seats except one. In any other case, such number of seats as bears to total number of such seats a proportion. Okay. Notwithstanding anything contained in clause 3 until the readjustment under Article 170 takes effect on basis of first census after the year 2026 of number of seats in legislature, assembly of state of Tripura states which in shall be reserved for. Okay. Notwithstanding anything contained in clause until readjustment notwithstanding anything contained in clause until readjustment under Article 170 takes effect on basis of first consensus after year 2026 of number of seats in legislative assembly of the of state of Tripura, seats which shall be reserved for Reserved for scheduled tribes in legislative assemblies shall be such number of seats as bears to the total number bears to total number of total number of seats a proportion not less than three and numbers as on date of coming into force of currently says the yes in what? Hmm. Number of seats reserved for Number of seats reserved for an autonomous district in Legislative Assembly of a state in Assam shall bear to total number of seats in that assembly, portion not less than population of district bears to that population of state. Constitution for seats reserved for any autonomous district of assembly shall not comprise any area outside that district. No person who is not a member of scheduled caste shall tribe of any autonomous district of state of Assam shall be eligible for re-election to Legislative Assembly of state from any constituency of that district, provided that for elections to Legislative Assembly of state of Assam, representation of scheduled tribes and non-scheduled tribes in in constituencies included in borderland territorial areas, districts so notified and existing prior to constitution of broad borderline territorial area district provided that for elections to legislative assemblies of state of Assam, representatives of scheduled tribes and non-scheduled tribes in constituencies included in borderland territorial areas, districts so notified and existing prior to consultation of broad borderland territorial areas, districts shall be maintained. 333. Notwithstanding anything in Article 170, Governor of a state may, if he is of opinion that Anglo-Indian community needs a representation in Legislative Assembly of state and is not adjourned urgently, no. Notwithstanding anything contained in Article 170, Governor of a state may, if his opinion that Anglo-Indian community needs representation in legislative assemblies of state and is not adequately represented herein, nominate a member of community of Assam. Alright, फिर पढ़ते हैं. Notwithstanding anything in Article 170, Governor of the state may, if his opinion that Anglo-Indian community needs representation in the assembly of that state and not adequately represented herein, in nominate one member of that community to assembly. And 33, 34. Notwithstanding anything in foregoing provisions of this part, provisions I select and notwithstanding anything in foregoing provisions of this part, provisions of this constitution relating to reservation of seats for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in House of People and in Legislature, Assembly, Legislative Assembly of States, and representation of the Anglo-Indian community in House of People and in legislative assemblies of states by nomination shall cease to have effect on expiration of a period of 60 years from commencement of this constitution. provided that nothing in this article shall affect any representation in House of People or in Legislative Assembly of a state until dissolution of then existing House or Assembly, as case may be. 335. Claims of members of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes shall be taken into consideration consistently with maintenance of efficiency of administration in making of appointments to services and posts in connection with affairs of union or of state. Provided that nothing in this article shall prevent in making any provisions in favor of members of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes for relaxation on qualifying remark in any examination or lowering the residency award for more promotion to any class or classes of services or people. Provided nothing in this article should prevent making of any provisions in favor of members of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe for relaxation, qualifying marks in any examination or lowering extends evaluation for reservation in matters of promotion to any class or classes of services or posts in connection with the affairs of union or of the state. 336. During first 2 years after commencement of this constitution, appointments of members of Anglo-Indian community to posts in the in posts in union shall be made service of during first 2 years after commencement of this constitution, appointment of members of Anglo-Indian community to posts in railways, customs, posts and telegraph services. Right? During first 2 years after commencement of this constitution, appointment of members of Anglo-Indian community to posts in railway, customs, postals, and telegraph services of union shall be made on same basis as immediately before 15th day of August 1947. During every succeeding period of 2 years, number of posts reserved for members of said community in aid in state services shall not be owned. Provided at the end of 10 years from commencement of this constitution, all such resolutions shall cease. Once again, during every succeeding period of 2 years, number of posts reserved for members of a said community in said services shall, as nearly as possible, be less by 10%, or then rather attend of 10 services 10 years from commencement of this constitution, all such reservations shall cease. Nothing in this clause shall bear bar appointment of members of Anglo-Indians community to posts other than or in addition to those reserved for this order. 337. During first 3 financial years after commencement of this constitution, same grants, if any, shall be made by union and by each state for benefit of Anglo-Indian community in respect of education as were made in financial year ending 31st day of April. During every succeeding period of 3 years, grants may be less by 10% than those for immediately preceding percentage of 3 years. Provided that At end of 10 years from commencement of this constitution, such grants to extent to which they are solely, uh, provided that at end of 10 years from commencement of this constitution, such grants to extent to which they are special concessions to Anglo-Indian commission shall cease. Provided further that no educational institution shall be entitled to receive any grant. Waiting. Provided further that no education institution shall be entitled to receive any grant under this article unless at least 40% of the annual admission therein are made available to members of communities other than Anglo-Indian community. Once again, is very important one. Provided further that no educational institution shall be entitled to receive any grant under this article unless at least the 40% of annual admissions therein are made available to members of communities other than Anglo-Indian community. 338. There shall be a commissioner for scheduled caste to be known as National Commission for Scheduled Castes. Subject to provisions of any law made in this behalf by Parliament, Commission shall consist of a chairperson, vice chairperson, and three other members. Three other members, and conditions of service and tenure of office of chairperson, vice chairperson, and other members so appointed shall be such as President may by rule determine. Chairperson, vice chairperson, and other members of commission shall be appointed by President by warrant under his hand and seal. Commission shall have adequate power to regulate its own procedure. It shall be it's a duty of Congress Commission, the of Fake Commission, duty of fake governance of this government. It shall be duty of Commission to investigate and monitor all matters relating. Okay. It shall be duty of Commission. Commission shall have powers to regulate own procedures. It shall be duty of Commission to investigate and monitor all matters relating to safeguards provided for scheduled castes under this Constitution or under any other law for time being in force or under any order of government, and evaluate working of such safeguards. Okay, so yeah. To inquire working of such safeguards, special provisions. Okay. To inquire into specific complaints and with respect to to the regulation of rights and safeguards of specified classes. To inquire into specific complaints with respect to deprivation of rights and safeguards of scheduled castes. To participate and advise on planning process of socio-economic development of scheduled castes and to evaluate progress of their development under union and any state. Mm. Annual discharge annual such other functions in relation to television production, welfare and uh, discharge such other functions in relation to protection, welfare and development and advancement of scheduled castes as provision may subject to provisions of any law made by Parliament by whom especially this is in relation to make such reports recommendations as measures that should be taken by union and state government for effectively implementing of those safeguards and other measures for protection, welfare and economy. President shall cause all such reports to be laid before each House of Parliament along with a memorandum expressing uh, President shall cause all such reports to be laid before each House of Parliament along with memorandum explaining actions taken or proposed to be taken on recommendations relating to Union and reasons for non-acceptance if any of or any such recommendations. When any such report or any part thereof relates related parts thereof, sorry, where any such report or any part thereof relates to any matter with which any state government is concerned, a copy of such report shall be forwarded to governor of the state who shall cause it to be laid. Where any such report or any part thereof relates to any matter with which any state government is concerned, a copy of such report shall be forwarded to governor of a state who shall cause it to be laid before legislature of a state along with a memorandum explaining actions taken or proposed to be taken on recommendations relating to state and registers or and regulating uh, sorry mm. When any such report or any part thereof relates to any matter with which any state government is concerned, a copy of such report shall be forwarded to governor of state who shall cause it to be laid before legislature of state along with memorandum explaining the credibility of credibility. Along with the memorandum explaining actions taken or proposed to be taken on recommendations relating to state and reasons for non-acceptance, if any, of and memorandum explaining actions taken or proposed to be taken on recommendations relating to state and reasons for non-acceptance, if any. eh, Commission shall while investigating any matter referred to in subclause and inquiries into any complaint referred to in subclause B of Clause 5 have all powers of civil court trying to suit and particular interests in respect of following matters, namely summoning and enforcing attendance of any persons from any part of India and examining him on oath, requiring dissolve requiring recons- summon and enforce attendance of any person from any part of India and examine him on oath, requiring discovery or production of any document, receive evidence of affidavit, requiring or requisitioning any public record, copy thereof from any court or office, issuing commissions for examination of witness and documents, any other matter which present stuff. Hmm. Issuing commissions for examination of witnesses and documents, any other matter which will the president may be such determinate. Okay. Any other matter which president may by rule determine, union and every state government shall consult commission all matters, all major policies, members affecting scheduled tasks. In this article, reference to scheduled castes shall be construed as including reference to such other backward classes as President may on receipt of report of commission appointed under clause 1 of Article 40, 340 by order specify and also to Anglo-Indian community. There shall be a commission for scheduled tribes to be known as National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. Subject to uh, Subject to provisions of any law made in behalf by Parliament, commissions shall consist of a chairman. Subject to provisions of any law made in this behalf by Parliament, commission shall consist of a chairperson, vice chairperson, and three other members, and convincing national. No. Subject to provisions of any law made in this behalf by Parliament, the Commission shall consist of a chairperson, vice chairperson, and three members, and then this any and three other members and conditions of services and tenure of office of chairperson, vice chairperson, and other major members so appointed shall be such as present by rule side. Chairperson, vice chairperson, and other members of commission shall be appointed by president by warrant under his hand and seal. Commission shall have power to regulate on procedures. It shall be duty of commission to investigate and monitor all matters relating to safeguards provided for scheduled tribes under Constitution or under any other law for time being in therefore under any order of government and to regulate working of such safeguards. To enter into specific complaints with respect to deprivation of rights and safeguards of scheduled tribes, to participate and advise on planning processes of socio-economic development of scheduled tribes, and to evaluate progress of their development under Union Territory and safeguards. And to present annually and all conditions. To present a payment annually at such other times, Commission may deem fit reports upon working of those safeguards. To make in such reports recommendations as measures that should be taken by Union or any other state for effective implementation of those safeguards and other measures for protection, welfare, and socio-economic development of scheduled tribes, to discharge such other functions in relation to protection, welfare, and development and advancement of the scheduled tribes, as President may subject to provisions of any law made by Parliament by rules. President shall cause all such reports to be laid before each House of Parliament, along with a memorandum explaining actions taken or proposed to be taken on recommendations relating to Union and reasons for non-acceptance, if any. In any such report or any part thereof relates to matter with which state government is concerned, copy of such report shall be forwarded to governor of state, who shall cause it to be laid before House, House state, along with a memorandum explaining action taken or proposed to be taken on recommendation relating to state and regions for non-acceptance, if any, of whose considerations. Well, what we have done, in fact, I was relating to elections which are conducted by Election Commission in relation to Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, state assemblies, and you can say president and vice president. Election system is very broad in our country. It's very mandatory to conduct elections for all these institutions according to provisions made within Constitution of our country. This is required to be abided by and complied with. Unfortunately, all these provisions have been in compliance since we got this Constitution. Elections have been repeated every 5 years for whatever requirement are met, and public is involved. These were in factual way, were truly effective since 1950 and were held many times. Irrespective of how many percent of people participated, that is different issue. Elections are elections for electing people's representative in Lok Sabha and in state assemblies. This is very significant, as well as municipalities and panchayats. We are very much concerned these days about elections for Lok Sabha, which were held in 2019 this year, and these elections were very important for future of this country. But in fact, people are not happy with whatever happened because election commission did not work in neutral way, in a way that should show public that elections are being conducted with fairness, with level field and complete transparency. Election Commission could not satisfy public. That is information available so far. All institutions were scared by current government, which was having a status of prime minister for since you can say since 2014. Elections have been completed. This is right. But are we satisfied? That is another question. If I am not satisfied with this election, what is the purpose of the election? What purpose is? Tell me. This is duty of election commissioner to ensure that elections must be transparent. Every citizen of this country must feel happy that elections have been done and my representative, major member of parliament, has been elected to my choice. But a citizen is not feeling that. Big questions again. Why? Question is same because election commission, chief election commissioner is a man of prime minister. Especially he abused this man to loot votes from public. Why I am calling loot votes? Very simple. Previously, when I used to go to vote, I was given a ballot paper. Long ballot paper or short, whatever it is, depending on number of candidates elected contesting that election. I had to select out of all those who are included in that list, whatever man, and put my seal on that. That was procedure. And I was able to show that that to whomever I wanted to vote, I have given, I put seal on that. And if you seal a put on this and that, also that election vote ballot was considered rejected. No problem. Question is, I was very much sure that my vote has gone to a person to whom I prefer to vote, irrespective to which party one belongs to, that election contesting candidate belongs to, or independent candidate one is. Now, what is happening? It's an electronic voting system in which no ballot is given, only you have to push that button once and that's it. You will be given a VVPAT slip. You can see that it will come to you. You will see that yes, your symbol on which vote has come. But that will go away from you, not with you. You have no confirmation that this vote has gone to whom you wanted to vote. Then how to make sure that my vote has gone to correct person? This is one point. I am not clear as a voter. I am not satisfied as a voter with service provided by election commissioner and head of election commissioners, president of this country. I am not blaming government here at this point because government is not conducting election. Government is supporting election commissioner, and that's it. Other point is, suppose some candidate, when counting is over, defeated candidates demands that I want recounting. There is no provision for recounting in this machine, EVM. You cannot recount. So how to ensure that there is no error? This is another point. You would say there can be no error because this is an electronic machine. But facts state with astounding voice that in 373 constituencies out of 542, there have been counting errors. There have been variations of additional votes or deficit vote. In general, additional votes varying from figure of 8,000 to 18,000 in all these constituencies. How this error could erupt? Number of votes polled in and number of sound counted must be equal. But information is and evidence is that it doesn't happen. It never happened. Means 353, 73, I think 373 constituencies out of 552. Generally, only hundreds of something are available, 156 available, which should poll correctly. That is presumed, not sure. So if we cannot count correctly our votes by this machine, then what purpose does this machine serve? That's one question. This machine cannot count correctly. This machine cannot count votes again. Then what purpose it serves? In addition to that, there is a gap of 20 lakh machines in our records of election commission. These machines availability or whereabouts are unknown to election commissioners. Manufacturer of these EVM machines, he claims that 40 lakhs machines were issued to election commissioner, and election commissioner claims that 20 lakh machines were received. Then where have remaining 20 lakh machines gone? Another point is that there is always a number, an inventory list for whatever machines included in election or released from election machine stores. About 3 lakh equipments of the EVMs give an instance that they do not match numbers provided in original list, which means that real machines which were counted, which are used during polling, were replaced by new machines by preceding votes. Well, it can be said so. But question is, why are we taken for granted by its election commission? Nobody has answered so far. These are discrepancies, these are demerits in 2019 elections, that there is lacuna everywhere. There is no confirmation, no guarantee, no transparency, no playing field, nothing. An election has been over. Government has no answer. Election Commission has no answer. Excellency President has no answer. Public has no answer. Political parties have no answer. When no one has any answer, no one has any answer. What is the meaning of this election? I am surprised. I understand what is election. I understand profession. If I cannot justify my act, how can I say that I have done my job? Election Commission has to respond to public demand why these discrepancies, defects happened during 2019 Lok Sabha vote. And in addition to that, there was information that about more than 2 crores, so I think 10 crores, more than 10 crores names from lists published by Election Commissioner were missing, and particularly to minority community. Why could it happen? And on top of this, when I go to poll in any constituency, wherever, certainly I must know how many candidates are contesting from that area, and I must know what are backgrounds of those candidates, what is profile of those candidates, what education they have, how many FIRs with them, and how much money they have. All these details must be known to voter. But nobody voters vote. No voter votes. Why does voter doesn't know? Why does voter not know it? Who shall answer? How shall I know how many candidates are standing there, posted there? I may say one, you may say two. The fact is only one vote by each person, and that's it. If I am not allowed to vote, in a way I don't know to whom I have voted, or my name doesn't exist in list despite being I had voted last time. Where is justification of transparency? How this election was transparent? I am not blaming some party, I am not blaming government, and I am also not blaming Election Commission. I am just asking why these acts did not happen. Then how does Election Commissioner claim that that election was justified and under control? Everybody knows about EVM behavior and conduct, that EVMs can be hacked. And there was a demonstration, virtual demonstration, that hacking was justified, hacking was done, whatever number, how many votes were polled was shown by that machine in line to party. And again, these were played with without touching machine, and these votes went to some other party. This means this machine is manageable. I know these machines were ordered during long back by Congress government. It doesn't matter. It was ordered by Congress government, it was ordered by BJP government, or it was ordered by ABCD. It doesn't make a difference. Question is why these electronic voting machines are not foolproof. Answer. You don't have complete information of vote. You cannot count them back. You don't have information 20 lakh machines. You don't have information 3 lakh inventory list numbers. You don't have many more information from Election Commission. I don't know my candidate, what his CV is, and I am going to vote for whom. And if you push non-BJP button, vote goes to BJP. If you nota, it may go to someone else. My question is, and your question must be, how did it happen? And on top of all of these, Election Commission and law says, how can a criminal contest election. Law says that criminal can be called criminal only when he is punished, he is sentenced. If a person is not sentenced for 25 years, it is election's fault or my fault? Why should I accept in my Lok Sabha a criminal-based person? That's the question. He may be whatever cadre, I don't care. He may be prime minister, he may be what, I don't know. I want a good person with character, person with crime-free life, and person with all that. If my candidate is not that one, if that MP is not that one, why should one criminal person enact law for me? That is a question. Even if he may be prime minister, he may be BJP head, or he may be Congress head. If some person is involved in some crime, why should I accept that person as my MP? That's the question. 233 MPs in Lok Sabha are having criminal records, and many of them have faced jail residence. Then, on what basis public voted them, and on what basis these leaders were nominated, and why should we accept them? Why should we not throw this Lok Sabha out of this country and bring another Lok Sabha in that case? Why should I accept 233 criminal-based MPs for my future making, for my future design of laws? Why, on what basis? And in Rajya Sabha are sitting those people who cannot think, while Rajya Sabha must use brain. It is purpose of that Rajya Sabha. People should be intelligent and artistic and educated. They should analyze each and every act, but they are not doing everything. There has been left no difference between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Both are having donkeys in them. Neither Lok Sabha thinks nor Rajya Sabha thinks. Thinking has gone out of parliament. Brain work has gone out of parliament. Analysis have gone out of parliament. In-depth study has gone out of parliament. Only head counting is there. How many votes from this side and how many votes from this side. Now, why to have Rajya Sabha in that case? Dissolve Rajya Sabha forever. If we have to head count only, they should check each and every act and each and every provision, and vision power should be applied. How shall this act in future for country? They are not doing that. They are not doing that. It happened in instant triple track case. They did not study it. Not at all. Just number of votes and that's it. That's not purpose of Rajya Sabha at all. No purpose at all. Okay, we understand Lok Sabha people are elected by public, and public cannot elect scientists or engineers or doctors. For honest, that is different case. But Rajya Sabha is not same. So now we have got both bodies in a similar pattern. So what's function? Why public is suffering because of that? Public should not suffer because of that, and that's bad, not good. So what I'm saying is we should have something with us. We should understand that. हमको समझना चाहिए. अब हम बंद करेंगे इसी बात पे और बाद में बात करेंगे आपसे कि क्या होना चाहिए, क्या नहीं होना चाहिए. चुनाव तो हो चुके हैं, लेकिन हम इस चुनाव को चुनाव नहीं मानते. हम इसको कंडम करते हैं, इस 2019 के लोकसभा चुनाव को. हम चुनाव आयोग के कार्यकर्ता को कंडम करते हैं. हम सरकार के इस चुनाव को कंडम करते हैं. हम लोकसभा को कंडम करते हैं. हम इस एमपीज को कंडम करते हैं. हम कहेंगे अपोजिशन से, विरोधियों से कि बाहर आ जाओ लोकसभा से. देश के साथ दो, पब्लिक का साथ दो. आम पब्लिक, ज़्यादातर पब्लिक इस चुनाव को चुनाव नहीं मानती, लूट मानती है. वोटर को लूटा गया है, आम वोटर को छीना गया है उसका वोट मशीनों के द्वारा, झूठ बोल बोल के, झूठा दे दे के. वास्तविक वोटों की गिनती नहीं हुई है. जो प्री सेट किए गए थे वोट मशीनों में, उनकी गिनती हुई है और वो ला के रखी गई हैं, क्योंकि 20 लाख मशीनें चोरी कर दी गई थी. और वो कहाँ होंगी हम समझते हैं और आप भी समझते हैं. हम इस प्रधानमंत्री को प्रधानमंत्री नहीं मानते, ईवीएम प्रधानमंत्री मानते हैं. हम इस लोकसभा को ईवीएम लोकसभा मानते हैं. हम इस सरकार को ईवीएम सरकार मानते हैं. सच्चाई तो ये है कि सरकार है ही नहीं. सच्चाई तो यह है कि प्रधानमंत्री है ही नहीं. सच्चाई तो यह है कि लोकसभा है ही नहीं. जहां पर 100 में से 45 बदमाश बैठे हों, आतंकवादी बैठे हों, रेपिस्ट बलात्कारी बैठे हों, गुंडे बदमाश लुच्चे बैठे हों, उसको हम अपने देश के राजा कैसे मान लें? हम उसको देश के कार्यकारी कैसे मान लें? हम उनको अपने उम्मीदवार कैसे मान लें? हम उनको अपने रिप्रेजेंटेटिव कैसे मान लें? अब हम उनको अपने वो लोग जो हमारा प्रतिनिधित्व करते हैं कैसे मान लें? हमें तो शर्म आती है इस बात से कि हमने ऐसे लोगों को चुना है जिनको 45% लोग 100 में से ऐसे हैं जो हमारे बदमाश हैं, देश के बदमाश हैं. हम दुनिया को मुंह कैसे दिखाएं कि देखिए लिए हमने गुंडों बदमाशों को चुना है अपनी सरकार चलाने के लिए, अपना देश चलाने के लिए, अपने कानून नियम बनाने के लिए, अपने देश को लीड करने के लिए। और उन लोगों पे भी शर्म आती है जिन्होंने उन लोगों को चुनाव में उतारा, जैसे हमारे हमारे प्रधानमंत्री हैं ये आज की तारीख में, जिनको कहते हैं मोदी। उनके उम्मीदवार 129 जीत के आए, जो बदमाश है, गुंडे हैं, रेपिस्ट हैं। जो 119 लोग कैसे आ गए जिनके रिकॉर्ड हैं, और ये कांग्रेस वाले, इनके 19 आदमी कैसे आ गए, और बाकी सभी पार्टी में कुछ आदमी हैं, और टोटल इनके बनते हैं 233। क्या आज हमारा देश 233 गुंडे उन लोगों के अंडर रहेगा? क्या उन लोगों की बात सुनेगा? क्या वो लोग हमारे भविष्य को लिखेंगे, हमारे नियम कानून वो बनाएंगे? अगर आज हम इतने मजबूर हो चुके हैं कि हमको गुंडों का राज चाहिए, हमको बदमाशों का राज चाहिए, हमको ऐसे लोगों का राज चाहिए जो हमारे देश की गुंडागर्दी करके जेलों में जिनको होना चाहिए, वो आज हमारी सत्ता में बैठे हैं। हमें शर्म आती है, हमको डूब मरना चाहिए इस बात से कि हमारी पब्लिक में इतनी शक्ति नहीं है कि सही उम्मीदवार को भेज सके, हमारे नेताओं में इतनी शक्ति नहीं है कि सही लोगों को चुनाव में उतार सके, हमारी वोटर की इतनी शक्ति नहीं है कि उनकी सीवी देख के बात कर सके। हमारा चुनाव आयोग उनको परमिट करता है चुनाव करने के लिए। अफसोस की बात तो ये होती है, एक सोल्जर को, एक ऐसे सिपाही को परमिट नहीं करता है जिसने सिर्फ खाने की कंप्लेंट की थी कि खाना सही नहीं है, और उसने 18-20 साल फौज में काम करने के बाद भी उसको रिजेक्ट कर दिया जाता है क्योंकि वो प्रधानमंत्री के खिलाफ चुनाव लड़ रहा था। क्यों? प्रधानमंत्री का भगवान है, प्रधानमंत्री का दुनिया का मालिक है, एक व्यक्ति तो है हम जैसा व्यक्ति। क्या फर्क है हम में और उसमें? कुछ फर्क नहीं है। बस वो इलेक्शन से आ गया, उसकी कोई क्रेडिबिलिटी नहीं है, कोई उसकी विज्ञान की नॉलेज नहीं है, कोई उसकी पढ़ाई की वजह से वो नहीं आया, अपने चेहरे की वजह से और अपने झूठ बोलने की सत्ता में वो आया, और हम उससे डर जाएं? एक जवान आदमी जो देश की रक्षा करता है, जो 18 मेडल जीतता है, उसको आप चुनाव से बाहर कर देते हैं। और एक आदमी जो गुंडा है, जो इस प्रधानमंत्री झूठ बोल के हर बात के फायदे को झूठ बोल के चुनाव में आया है, उसको आप फ्रॉड करके जिता देते हैं, और बाकी 233 बदमाशों को आप लोकसभा भिजवा देते हैं। इसके बारे में कोई क्या कहेगा? आप कह लीजिए मुझे गाली दे लीजिए, चिंता नहीं, जिस बात की सच बोलने से गाली मिलना है मिल जाए, कोई चिंता नहीं। आई एक्सेप्ट ऑल सच अब्यूजेस, लेकिन देश के हित में बोलूंगा, देश के बारे में बात करूंगा, क्योंकि हम वो भी देश वाले नहीं हैं जो नारे लगाने वाले हैं। हम सोचने वाले हैं, समझने वाले हैं। हम भारत माता की जय ऐसे नहीं कहते, हम भारत माता की सेवा करके भारत माता की जय कहते हैं। हम भारत माता को समझ के कहते हैं। हमारा वंदे मातरम वो नहीं है जो नारा है, हमारा वंदे मातरम असली है कि देश को सही चलाना वंदे मातरम है, भारत के संविधान को समझना वंदे मातरम है, देश की सेवा करना वंदे मातरम है, भारत की समस्या को खत्म करना वंदे मातरम है, भारत के लोगों को समझाना, आगे बढ़ाना, उनको जागते से उठा सोते से जगाना वो वंदे मातरम है। भारत सही चलेगा तो वंदे मातरम ही होगा, भारत सही चलेगा तो भारत माता की जय भी होगी। नहीं तो ये बातें खाली झूठ है, बदमाशी है, सब कुछ है, दिखावा है, जनता को बेवकूफ बनावा है, और इसके अलावा ये कुछ नहीं है। हम इन बातों को समझना चाहिए। अगर हम इन बातों को नहीं समझेंगे तो हम देश को भी नहीं संभाल सकते। बड़े अफसोस की बात ये होती है, हम बस बनते हैं, बोलते हैं, कुछ भी कहते रहते हैं, लेकिन असलियत को हम समझते नहीं है। ये हमारा है बदकिस्मती कह लीजिए कि आज ऐसी सरकार है जो गुंडों का राज है। कहीं चले जाइए, गुंडागर्दी, झूठ, फ्रेब, पब्लिक परेशान है, वोट नहीं मानती, सरकार नहीं मानती पब्लिक, लेकिन वो बोलता है कि मैंने पब्लिक का मैंडेट ले लिया। अरे पब्लिक ने वोट दिए नहीं आपको, तो मैंडेट कहाँ से आ गया? आपका मैंडेट तो ईवीएम का है, आपका मैंडेट तो झूठ का है, आपका मैंडेट तो फ्रॉड का है, आपका मैंडेट तो रिसीट का है। जो आपने किया है वो ठीक नहीं किया, आपका देशद्रोह का काम किया है। आप भी उनको गुंडों को अपने चुनाव से जिताया है, कांग्रेस वालों ने भी गुंडों को चुनाव में जिताया है, तो हम किसको क्या कहें? आज लड़ाई की जरूरत है सरकार से, लड़ाई की जरूरत है। हमें ईवीएम से वोट नहीं चाहिए, हमें सच्चाई से वोट चाहिए। हमें पता होना चाहिए कि हमने जिसको वोट दिया उसको मिला है कि नहीं मिला है, लेकिन नहीं, ऐसा ये नहीं चाहते। ये चाहते हैं झूठ से, फ्रेब से, बदमाशी से कैसे भी सत्ता में बस बने रहना है, बने रहना है और बने रहना है। बाकी चीज से इनको कोई मतलब नहीं है। इस बात से लेके मैं आप बात को खत्म करता हूँ। आप सबका धन्यवाद। भारत माता की जय। जय भारत माता, जय भारत, जय भारत संविधान और जय देश।